Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of 15 Good Minutes. We actually filming a day early so we can catch Freddie before he gets on the plane. So we're gonna hop right into it because Freddie's got a lot to go with. We're gonna go off topic, off sports today, and cover a topic: has tipping gotten out of control? You understand what I'm saying? The act of tipping has it gotten out of control? So we got a few things that I want to go through, but JR, immediately with that question, what's your gut reaction?
My gut reaction is you have to pay for good service. There's some things I disagree with about tipping, like gratuity and stuff like that. You know,
isn't the tip a gratuity?
Yes, no. I don't believe you should put my stuff in there. I think we talked about that as well. I think you should let me choose. And I understand some people don't tip or whatever. You can't force somebody to do something. You know what I'm saying? So I tip, and I try to tip good. So,
Freddie, has tipping got out of control for you?
No, I typically tip based on your service. If you give me good service, I'll tip you well. If you don't tip me, well, if you don't provide good service, you're not gonna get a good tip. Did I tell you guys about the hibachi story?
Yes.
Yeah. Prime example.
Yes.
Prime example. So it is what it is.
Today in 2023, we apparently tip for more things than we did 10 years ago. The average tip in the U.S. is 21%. Another couple fun facts. We're the only country that does this the way that we do this. To JR's point, if you go to Europe, like Freddie's going to be here in a few hours, the gratuity is just a heartfelt, here you go, thank you. But in America, and I found this out when I was doing the research for this, 43 of 50 states can adjust your wages based on whether you're someone who receives tips, as opposed to just saying, Freddie works at a restaurant, pay the man, pay him, you know what I'm saying, for services rendered. Don't make his job dependent on whether or not people are coming through. And the fact that we still do that, JR, to me is
I've been thinking about that for a lot of years, and it's really unfair because regardless, that person is going to put those hours into work. The owners know that, and they should provide, like you said, okay, this is a set amount of money, an hourly wage you're going to get regardless.
Do you know what the hourly wage is that they can pay you if you're receiving tips? Do you know how low it is?
I think it's like maybe $7.50.
Probably somewhere between,
or lower.
Probably somewhere between $3 and $8 an hour, somewhere in that area.
$2.13.
So we both are high.
$2.13. Here's the thing, crazy. Freddie. That rate was established in 1991 and has not changed. That's right. So for our audience members, just before we joined, JR was running through a lot of things that have not changed over the course of some years, costs and whatnot. This is right in that ballpark, JR. 1991, $2.13. You know what I mean?
Well, that speaks to government, though.
Well, does it? You have 7 states that don't do it. So what would stop those other 43 states from just saying, hey, wait a second? You know what I mean?
Stop being greedy.
It's also if it's, $2.13 an hour or whatever, I think they probably expect that, their patrons are probably going to tip well, which offsets that.
Here's my clapback on that, is that you want experienced people to continue to work for you. People are working for 10, 15 years, and they're still getting the same thing. They may be giving a little cheddar extra, but you say that these types of jobs are for kids going through college. They're not going to be the ones that bring you in clientele. If anything, they're going to be the ones that help you lose clientele because of mistakes. They're in a rush. They got school on their mind. They're doing
lack of experience.
Yeah, lack of experience. So it's kind of a double-edged sword.
I think it is. And I don't necessarily, just looking at the restaurant industry alone, JR, there are people that is their entire career.
Yeah.
And I think that employer, knowing that you're going to get tips, could still pay you, a serviceable wage. There's a young lady, Saru Jayarman. I'm gonna spell it Sarujayarman. She is the chairperson of a group called One Fair Wage. And her point, JR, is there should just be one fair wage. She's not saying abolish tips, but the disparity. If you're the employer, for example, JR, you can say 213, you can say 1213, you can pay Freddie 1513, you any of that. There's no, quote unquote fair wage, and or wage, I should say, just for you saying, well, yeah, Freddie, but I know you're gonna make some tips. Freddie's out there hustling. He's doing that, and he's bringing you as the restaurateur business because he gives good service, right? Well, a lot of people went out of work when the pandemic started, especially in restaurants, right? We couldn't go out. Nobody could get into a restaurant. Since that time, though, 86% of all remote transactions are now being tipped. 86% of a remote transaction. So let me put this to you, Freddie. Do you make an order online, you pay, and you go to pick it up? Are you tipping when you go to pick it up?
No.
Fair enough, JR.
I would say the same as Freddie.
Exactly. But when you get there, they're going to take this thing that looks like an iPad, turn it around at you and say, hey, what would you like to tip? I call it the tip tablet. I know there's a official name for that. And one of the things that we learned was that thing is 100% programmable by the owner. So when you see it and it says recommended tip, 15, 18, 22%, it could just as easily say $1, $2, or $3. They put it on there, and apparently there's a thing called tip guilt that a lot of people feel. You're in a Starbucks, JR, right? And you got a lot of people behind you. When they hand that to you, everybody can see what you're doing, even the person that you're tipping. So there is a certain mindset with some folks that they just don't want no trouble. They end up pressing a button. Do you accept the recommendation when someone gives you that?
No.
I went to PF Chang's the other night. They didn't even have 15% on the little tip count. They took it off.
What did it have?
They had 18, 20, and up.
Exactly. When you see that, JR, that even though it's going to be smaller, you can do custom.
Yeah.
Right. You can hit the custom button and put in what you want. But they say the number one thing to do if you really want to screw people up is, keep a couple dollars in your pocket. Watch what happens when you try to hand them cash. You can say, for example, I'm paying for this PF Chang's on this card. Oh, here's your tip right here. And you give them $3 or $4 and they don't know what to do with it. Do that.
They can't figure it out.
What a lot of the financial folks are saying, though, JR, is, tip with a purpose. Like Freddie said, be intentional with it. You should not feel guilt about it, right? They had three terms that they threw out. And tell me if you guys have heard of any of these. This is the first time I ever heard of this. Tip creep, which is what JR just explained. Tip creep is when someone tells you that the going rate is, based on a service, like takeout should be 10%, by the way, 15% for something else. Tip creep is when they give you the tablet, and like JR says, it goes 18, 22, 25%, and you don't know any better. That's tip creep. Tipflation is basically, the owner deciding what he or she is going to do because you don't have any control over that. And then tipping fatigue, which is, I think, is where I tend to fall in, is like everybody's asking for it now. And to be clear, I'm not trying to say I don't tip. I do think I tip well, and I tip frequently, but I'm starting to question, and that's why I'm putting it to you guys, if we are being asked to tip for things that we shouldn't. And I'm gonna, I don't want to offend my Starbucks listeners, but I'm going to say this: they're not making $2.13 an hour. They are there as careerists. They have benefits. They got hospitalization. They got education. They're full-time employees, right? So for me to tip them is because they did something good for me, Judge. It's gratitude. I don't feel the same way there as I do in a restaurant where I know they don't have a good hourly wage. Does that make sense? Or do you employ the same kind of, methodology?
Yeah, well, I've never, if I have, like for Starbucks, I knew that they were getting paid. I would just, I just round up whatever it is, the dollar amount, and that I just say keep the change. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I feel what you're talking about. It's like every common service that you're trying to provide to make my life easier is asking for a tip.
Freddie, do you business trip? You travel the world a lot. You go on a regular business trip. Do you tip housekeeping at the hotel?
Only if the service is good. I don't believe in tipping just because you do your job, right? To me, you need to go above and beyond. Like, bring, come back and hit me up for another drink, if I ain't even halfway, finished with my first drink, or bring me an extra plate of bread or whatever the case may be. Or if you bring me an extra piece of chicken and I only
Don't start on the chicken. Don't do it. It's going. Listen, audience. That's a rabbit hole. We're not going to go down, but I'm going to run with something Freddie just said. So, my daughter's a bartender, and I pinged her before the show to say, "Okay, you on the other side of this thing. Talk to me about tips." And she said pretty much what Freddie just said. She said, number one, she has regulars, and she said she loves them. They're big tippers, and they love her. She said she can spot them in a crowd, and she will serve them before everybody else there because they are regulars. And then she also said, you never know about the service. She had a situation recently, guy getting takeout, JR, coming in. Now, this is at Maryland Live Casino, right? This is where she works as a bartender. Somebody came in, they just wanted a cheeseburger and lemonade, but he wanted the lemonade to go. And they didn't have any types of cups for it. And she said that she started thinking about it and said, well, you know what? I know we at least got some coffee cups. Let me go get you a cup to put some lemonade in. She did that. Dude tipped her $100. For cheeseburger, and she wasn't looking for that. She's just trying to go the extra mile because the dude's coming in and just wants a cheeseburger. So I think it kind of goes to what Freddie is saying. That is what above and beyond is. You know what I mean? And what's going to happen is if he's back in town again, he'll go back to Maryland Live. He'll look for her. She just made another new favorite customer. To the housekeeping thing, what I learned was I do tip them, Freddie, but apparently I was doing it wrong. Let's say I'm staying 4 nights. When I go to check out on the morning of the fifth day, I would leave, whatever I was leaving. Well, apparently I'm supposed to, whatever I'm going to leave, I'm supposed to leave it every day. And I didn't know that.
Because they have different people come in.
Yes. Yeah. And I never, so I felt bad because I do, like it when they take care of me. I get extra towels and get extra whatever, but I just assumed you tipped on the way out. I was totally wrong. So that was a learning experience.
What's good about me is that what I like for me, I don't have to mess with my room. I just say, bring me towels when I see them. They bring me my towels, my sheets, or whatever. I'm just not one for having people in the room when I'm not there, And so, but I do hook that lady up. I make sure, at that point, I'll give her a little something, whether it be $5-10,
We have three different questions of the week because I'm really curious. I've been polling a lot of people, so I'm going to ask the audience these. 1, do you feel pressure to tip? 2, do you have tipping fatigue? And 3, are too many businesses now asking you to tip them? Those are 3 questions of the week. I'd like, if you would, to try to address all 3 of them, whether you do, here on YouTube or twitter.com/15 good minutes. I found that this was a fascinating topic to cover, especially, JR, the non-food areas. Like if you have a caddy, how much do you tip that caddy? I tip the Uber driver because before Uber, I was always tipping my cabbies. So what's the difference? You know what I mean? Me and D went to Cooper's Hawk, I think it's called. It was a restaurant like that in Richmond the other day with some family.
That's some good stuff right there.
Yeah, we left and didn't realize we had been there, Freddie, 4 hours. Now, in 4 hours, they're coming and waiting on us. They bringing us this. They making light brown. You know what I mean? So I had no problem tipping that. That to me is service. But if I'm just walking in and you handing me the bag of stuff that I ordered online and then going to turn the tablet to me, I don't have a problem saying no.
Nope. Yep.
No, I don't have a problem saying no with that. And that's what I mean. So service is when they're coming back. You're at that table and they're coming back and they're topping off your lemonade or your iced tea or asking you, do you want another, Hennessy, whatever it is. That is service. And when you're there for that amount of time, 3-4 hours, maybe longer in some cases, I think it warrants a good tip.
Right, definitely.
Because
they could have, that time you was there 4 hours, 3-4 hours, they could have had 3 or 4 different people at that table.
Easily, right? Easily, right? So, and I'm sure we all know people, family, friends, whatever. I call them tip bums. They don't tip. And I feel bad. I feel bad for them. The one thing I would ask restaurants not to do, and it really upsets me when they do, is if I come to your restaurant and I'm with a group of people, don't put your tip in my bill. You're assuming too much when you do that for me, right? And you're cutting yourself short, right? So they'll look at a group of 12 of us coming, they say, oh, gratuities included. No, take it out. If it's 12 of us and that means that there's 6 couples, let every couple tip for themselves because I'm going to take care of you. You're not going to put me at 18%. I may want to give you 25, 27, 30%. So that's always been an issue of mine. And when I'm part of a large group that I've organized, I ask them not to put the gratuity in there. You know, I think everybody should be responsible for their own. So
Right.
before we cut out and send Freddie on his way, let me see if the guy's got anything to say today. Freddie, you got something to say?
I'm ready to go.
Have some fun, buddy. Have some fun.
Man.
JR, you got something to say?
Nah, I'm good this week, man. I'm good. I don't have
Had a lot to say. Had a lot to say online about John Morant, but we'll just hold
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I saw what you.
But I covered that before. I covered, you know.
It's different now, though.
Okay, but okay. I got something to say.
All right, let's go. Let's go. It ain't take much, audience. I knew
Come
he
on,
was
man.
sitting on the edge of that seat. Bring it.
People are blasting this guy, and for more than good reason. Man, you're looking at a whole grip of money, and you have nothing to do but trying to be somebody who you're not. You will learn from this lesson. This is the second time you're caught doing the same dumb thing. You know, I mean, I don't want to bash you, but why do you work so hard to get to the peak and do things so stupid to fall back down in the mud again just that quickly?
So yeah, that's all we got time for this week. Please, again, we haven't done a question of the week in quite a while. Let us know how you feel about those 3 questions and what your methodology is or your thoughts are on whether or not tipping has got out of control. Freddie, safe travels, my friend. We'll be in touch with you while you're gone. JR, we'll see you next week. And everybody else, have a great weekend and even better week next week. We're out.
Safe travels, Freddie.
Thank you.